Hi there, this is Matt Wakeling and you're listening to the Guitar Speak podcast, the show I produce in Sydney, Australia, where I speak to leading guitarists and guitar figures from all around the world. Thank you so much for joining me today for episode number 101. Now, this is the last show for 2018, so let me say thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to have a fantastic 2019, so stick around. Now, today I speak to Vince Contarino, who is the brains and the voice behind Led Zeppelin Masters, a show that combines the bombastic rock of Led Zeppelin with a symphony orchestra. This show's been running for quite a few years, and I'll be seeing it this week at Sydney's beautiful and iconic Sydney Opera House right on Sydney Harbour. Can't wait to see the show. It's going to be brilliant. My conversation with Vince started when I simply commented that adding an orchestra to Led Zepp must add up to a pretty epic situation.
Oh, man, just by default.
Yeah.
Let's just forget about everything, and just by default, when you put a 32-piece orchestra and a rock band, and these guys are great players.
Yeah.
Everybody on that stage, they're brilliant players. Okay, so everybody's got their opinion on, what they like, who plays this and that better. But at the end of the day, they're there because they've excelled at, their instrument or their craft.
Yeah.
And so you've got that. And then given that you've got these Led Zeppelin songs that have proven the test of time in many respects, were responsible for changing the way music was shaped. Because, just like Elvis and the Beatles shaped so many young artists, not to say that they were the first to do it, but they managed to somehow get into the psyche of the Western world and actually, yes, even the Eastern, and change the way we think of things. So Led Zeppelin did the same with their music, just by the songwriting stuff, that's undeniable. We don't have to like them to admit that. So, by default, it is an epic show.
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think, maybe you've already answered this, but why do you think the legacy of Zeppelin has continued to endure so much? Because I know they've done bits and pieces in recent times, but essentially the band folded in the early 80s, but we're still talking about them, we're still digging their music. Why do you think?
Matt, it's, how old are you?
I'm 47.
All right. So you've lived, and as you get older, you start to appreciate so much. But if we cast ourselves back to when we're 12, 13, right? And we're so tactile and driven by our feelings and emotions, and that's exciting, this is nice, this tastes good. We are kind of influenced very superficially, and we have no idea. We have no idea of depth as we do now when we're older. Look at someone like Michelangelo or Rembrandt or Picasso. The reason they've endured the test of time is because of the art, the way they've interpreted stuff. Not to say that the people that were their contemporaries are any less or less brilliant, probably more. Some maybe, I'm only speaking from a point of view of an opinion here, but some may be more skillful in certain, areas of their expertise and stuff. But those people captured the imagination of people in a way that catapulted them historically. And I think Led Zeppelin does that. They captured rock, blues, folk, jazz, the mystical stuff, the psychedelia. They captured it in a way that, gets into a 12-year-old, go, wow, I'm excited, this is thrilling, wow. But as you get older, you look at the bands that you were listening to back then, and you kind of go, wow, I used to like Band X just as much as I would like Led Zeppelin. I can't even bear to listen to 30 seconds of Band X now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Led Zeppelin endured it and I think it's because of the depth that has endured the years of you growing up as a human being, because now you can relate to that music on so many levels. And what's scary with these people is that they were able to do that at a young age. So these are exceptional people. These are artists that come along, once in a lifetime. Seriously, they capture something. I don't even know that they know it themselves, but they have that skill and they've channeled it, and it endures. And this is why it's special. And so, as I talk to you, I get excited, and I also, when these people they lambaste me about being a cover musician and doing tribute, I really want to go, what the hell are you saying? This is important to continue to push this sort of music. And if it's not enough, someone else, and when we're dead and gone, someone else, because this is important stuff to us, because it has endured the test of time. And we should be able to listen to it live, and we should be able to get in touch with our feelings and express it, express ourselves through that music and inspire us. This is art, man. This is very important. And sure, some people think it's a cartoon. Oh, yeah, great album cover. Yeah, I'll put on these sexy jeans. Yeah, look, I'll do my hair this way. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo. I'm going to have a few drinks and I'm all super cool now. But it's more than that, because of all those things that I said before and how it endures the test of time. And art does that. Look, we are lucky to be able to put on a show and use Led Zeppelin's music. Why? Because it's beautiful. But it ticks all those boxes for those people that love rock, blues, and contemplate lyrics and mysticism and stuff like that in a way that it's aesthetically pleasing. It also challenges us, and excites us, and it is sexy. All those things, man. That's awesome. That's what it is. This is what good music is, and that's why we've managed to last for 32 years playing Led Zeppelin, and now we're doing it with orchestras. So we're able to not only when you play as a band, you deconstruct songs that are on albums because of all the overdubs and stuff on them. As you play as a three-piece band, of course you can't do that. But with an orchestra, you can do all of that. You can bring it to the audience and then some more, and interpret it in a way musically, and it still works. So the arrangements of Mick Buck, they're not Jimmy Page or John Paul Jones, but they were inspired by that. And so this seed grows and it keeps growing. It's like, it's sure, that Shiraz grape is 150 years old. That winemaker died, but the winemakers today are still using that same grape off that vine to create beautiful wine. It's like stuff. That's the stuff. That's what this is all about. And I'm getting all deep and serious, but at the show, what you end up, you laugh, you cry, you get exhilarated. You go through all these experiences and emotions. It's beautiful.
Very cool, very cool. It's interesting you mentioned the 12 or 13-year-old, because I was probably around that age when I first heard Zepp, and they had just sort of wound up, at my age. But I was starting to play guitar then as well, so I was definitely paying attention. Do you remember your first experience of listening to Zeppelin? The first recognition of it that I have that is visual is listening to Black Dog in the family FC Holden. We were going to the peninsula. We go take our summer holidays. So we're going to Moonta Bay, which is a destination there. There's fishing and camping and stuff in the summer holidays. And my brother had a little TIAC reel-to-reel that he would take songs off the radio. Wow.
And there we were. The sun was just getting ready to come up, and we're out, traveling the countryside, going to our destination, and hey mom said, will you move, gonna make you sweat, in the back seat with me and my brother. I was 12, so he would have been 15, and I just I don't know whether it was the expanse of the countryside and, the huge sky with that, that little bit of glow starting to come up. It made such an indelible impression on me. It changed my life. But that was it. But that was Black Dog. And so there was a whole lot of love before then and all that. And I'm going, so I must have heard that stuff on radio somewhere, but I didn't quite equate it. But Black Dog was the first time it did it. And at the age of 12, just like you, Matt, we start to get to that age where, your mates are kind of fun, but girls are kind of better.
Now, you have been playing Zeppelin for a long time. Tell me about your history and how it led into the Led Zeppelin Masters show that you've been doing for a few years now.
Okay, well, look, before the Zepp Boys, I'd been touring around for a long, long time. I was one of these lucky guys. I don't know how it happened. I finished year 12. We used to call it matric back then, probably for you too. It was called matriculation or higher school certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I finished that and I was lucky enough to get a job as a guitar teacher. And I was teaching guitar, and within 6 months, I found myself in a band and started touring.
Wow.
So I was 18 years of age, and I remember my touring, and I was at Rose Bay or Double Bay, playing in Sydney and doing residencies there. It was Double Bay, some disco. I used to play disco, and I was touring Australia and stuff, and then. Slowly, you see bands, interstate stuff, and I thought, wow, I really want to get back into my writing. Started doing some writing and got into an original band, and we really trailblazed all the way across Australia without ever selling an album or anything. And it was an original band, and nobody knew about it.
Wow!
Yet somehow, I don't know why and how, but we used to have people come to our gigs and a following. Back in the day, where there was no internet and stuff, I don't know. It's a weird thing, I don't know how it happened, but I just remember playing to thousands and thousands of people over the years, especially here in Adelaide, not making any money. And then one day, this idea of doing the Zepp Boys came up. It was in '86, and I thought, oh, no, this is a bit hard. Some guy rings me up and goes, you want to do this thing where me and my mates from uni, we're thinking of doing a whole night of Led Zeppelin. I'm like, you bloody crazy. Who's going to do that? It's too hard.
Right.
I don't even... And because I was a rock singer, that's why they called me. And I was known, so I had a following. But I was afraid, man. I thought I can't do this. It's too hard. But And what I failed to realise is I had the mindset of a young boy when I tried to do Led Zeppelin, and I'd, sing Immigrant Song and rock and roll really well and go, whoa, hey, man, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. And the next day I couldn't talk. And the next day I couldn't talk. And I thought, oh, maybe this Led Zeppelin shit's not for me. It's too hard. It's killing me. But I'd learnt my craft, and I'd learnt to sing and, studied opera and all that sort of stuff for voice. And as a 26-year-old, my skills have improved, my vocal skills. So we put together a jam. I said, let's just do a jam. And surprisingly enough, we did, 4 or 5 songs. And the next day I could still talk and sing.
Oh, okay,
and then
okay.
Then I thought, let's do this. Let's do this. And Matt, at those times, there weren't tribute bands. There was nothing. There were only some Elvis impersonators and a couple of Beatles bands. And that was it for years and years and years. And so we really weren't following a trend of doing a tribute. We didn't even think of it. We just called it a night of Led Zeppelin music.
Yeah.
It's not like we say, tribute or, revival or concept. No, those words came out afterwards. So, we put together a couple of nights, and they just killed, man. We had, had big crowds. the people lapped it up. So then I thought, I'm going to look after this. I'm going to try and look after it as if it was a management company looking after an act, to give it some respect. So no agent gets their hand on it and starts to make it cheap or make it go corporate and everything. I wanted to keep it real. The passion and integrity was everything. And somehow we've managed to do that over the 32 years.
Fantastic. And when did you think of the idea of expanding it beyond like a 3-piece plus vocal to the Led Zeppelin Masters with orchestra? Because that's really exciting.
It is exciting, and it's funny how things happen, but we were touring New Zealand, and we were such a gorgeous country that is, and we were travelling through, we went from the south all up to the north, and we were travelling through the areas where Lord of the Rings was filmed, and it's stunning. And it not only is it picturesque, it's grandeur. It hits you, you know, the blue skies with the snow-capped mountains and the sparkling little brooks and rivers and creeks, you know, and it's pristine. And, you know, someone in the van said, wow, look at this Lord of the Rings splendor. How can we do this with Led Zeppelin? And someone said, well, orchestrate it, you know, because that's big.
Yeah, yeah.
And Warwick, the bass player, who's my musical director, or our musical director, said, I know someone, Adelaide Arts, works for the minister and blah, blah, blah. I'll have a chat to him, and he's associated with the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra. And in the meantime, I said, I'll have a chat to one of the promoters who might be interested in backing it and stuff like that. And so it gained a bit of momentum, and we hit the orchestra. This is the Yes Minister moment. We hit the orchestra, the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra, at a moment where they were being threatened with, listen, you know, you guys are sort of starting to become obsolete. If you don't do something current and inspiring to us, we're going to have to take away your funding because we can't justify the funding anymore. You know, and I'm sure a lot of departments through Australia go through this every time. And our proposal must have lobbed on their desk at that very moment. They're going, well, we don't know. And, look, I'm only supposing here, and this is me being the script writer. This is what I think happened.
Yeah.
This is what I think. This is not fact, but this is what I think happened. Is going, well, Zeppelin, the Zepp Boys. Well, geez, I don't know if it'll work, but at least it'll make it look like we're trying to do something to engage new audiences. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. And so they'll keep the dogs at bay for a while. And this is what I think happened. But yet they freaked out. The symphony orchestra had no idea how big this was going to be. In fact, I know they didn't think they would. Because they originally booked the theatre for 3 nights, and they said, look, let's just do 2. We'll use one of the nights as a rehearsal. I mean, wow, really? And one of the guys said, look, we'll probably do about, you know, it's about over 2,000 theatre. Look, we'll be lucky if we sell 500 tickets for this. Seriously, that's all that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And it was a complete sellout.
Fantastic, man.
They had no idea.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It's a good story. I mean, Matt, there always has to be an element of luck and opportunity. But the thing is, it's how you use that luck and opportunity. I am the bane of bureaucratic departments and promoters because I'm so stubborn when it comes to representing the music as it should be. And some of these people, by nature, they have to survive, and it's all about, no, we have to make it palatable, safe, and for, you know, the major population so as we can make as much money as possible. Because I understand that.
Sure,
I understand where they're coming from. But, sorry, man, you don't do that with art. You don't do that. And so, oh, man, I was a tyrant to make sure that it got done with the integrity. I made a lot of enemies, but you know what? I got a lot of respect out of it as well. And that's why we find ourselves here, because slowly but surely you start to surround yourself with people that aren't afraid and want to do good things. And now we find ourselves doing arrangements written specifically for this show, with the highs and the lows and the dynamics and the voicing. The show's changed completely from what it was in 2005. Led Zeppelin Masters has their own charts, not specific to they're not the symphony orchestra's charts, they are our charts. And we've done them with Warwick and Warwick Cheadle, our bass player, knows the Led Zeppelin inside out, and our guitar player, Dan Nico. They combined their forces with Nick Buck, the arranger, brilliant young artist, and talked about dynamics and voicings and suggestions of how, something should build, or they talked about arrangements on bootlegs that aren't on, that not many people know, with some interesting quirky bits. And so we developed this show, which is very Led Zeppelin, but it is, I know it sounds, but it's very original too, to the public, because there's things and concepts that they won't hear on a Led Zeppelin album. But it is all Led Zeppelin. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited because the first thing I thought was, man, Kashmir is going to sound incredible with live strings. But I thought, man, what else are they? Obviously, they're not just trundling the orchestra out for Kashmir. I can't wait to hear what you've done. Like, obviously, to arrange, these pieces around a rock and roll band. So that, like you say, the originality. Yeah. I'm stoked about that. I don't want to see you guys or any show pretending to be the band, but if you're bringing something fresh and playing these incredible pieces in a live venue, that's what I love about your idea.
Oh, and that whole thing about dressing up and pretending to be the band.
Yeah.
It makes me want to puke. But if I was in a theatre watching actors do the part, I wouldn't be as scathing on the music side of things. Because sometimes when we go to theatre, we got to pretend that we're in a war zone, or we got to pretend that they're flying in a plane, but we know they're not. So in the theatre, we can pretend that they're playing Wow, Black Dog, and it's really, but they're crap. But because they're not musicians, they're actors.
Sure.
So I want to get off on the show and the acting and take me through the Led Zeppelin experience from the characters and stuff. Mate, nah. This is about the music.
Yeah,
we're not going to pretend to be anybody. And so, exactly that. Yeah, no. I remember 1990. It was 89, 90. I had a promoter ring me up from the UK saying, "We've heard about you guys. Are you interested in doing a tour in the UK?" Oh, my Lord. I was so freaking happy. I couldn't believe it. I'm there, yes. I'm there, absolutely. Where, and they go, "Look, just a few things. Vince, if you could dye your hair blonde and start looking."
Oh, wow.
That's. My reaction was a little bit more heartbreaking. My heart fell. I just went, "You've got to be kidding me."
Yeah, right.
No. And that it wasn't so much. They might have been really cool people to deal with, but I couldn't hand over this show to people with that attitude, because I thought, God knows how they're going to take it. This is not. No, I can't do that. No, I will not do that. Someone else can do that, because it's not what it's about.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I mean, that's just my 2 cents, and obviously you feel passionately the same way. There's a bunch of dates coming up now in Sydney. I'm going to see you in Sydney, of course, but you're also touring the UK again, and we've got listeners across Europe. Can you talk us through your next couple of months, I guess?
Well, okay, so we're in preparations now. So all the boys are doing their own prep for the Sydney Opera House.
Yep.
So that's, and this will be our fourth season in a row at the Opera House. So it's working really well. And actually, it has a very international feel in January, the Sydney Opera House, because a lot of the locals are really off away. They're off on holiday, and there's a lot of tourists milling about the place, looking at this beautiful, iconic venue that is like the eighth wonder of the world, and they want to see a show. Yeah. And a lot of, I meet so many Croatians, Russians, Germans, French, Swiss, Italian, when I mill around the rocks after the gigs, because I stay for a couple of days, going, oh, fantastic show, we love Led Zeppelin. It's like you're playing in Europe anyway. So sit there, at that time of the year, look, I'm from Adelaide, so I think we really, that area is probably always very touristy, but more so in January, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of an international flavour there. But, so we got doing that. Then we come home, and we've got a couple of months off, and then we head off to Norway in March. Yep. We do Norway, Belgium, Holland, somewhere else now, I forget at the moment, and then go off to the UK, which incorporates, Scotland, Wales, London and Birmingham and all these places that we played before. So they're our movements until mid-April, and then we'll come home, and I'm told we're going to we do Brisbane and Melbourne and Perth in New Zealand. So we've got a very big year of touring coming up.
Fantastic, man. Well, that's awesome, and man, congratulations on building such an incredible show and an incredible career, and kudos for really treating the music with so much respect and obvious passion. That's fantastic, Vince.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you, man. I hope we give confidence to those musos that are despondent, and especially the young ones, because when I was young, and oh man, it was so bloody hard. You did feel like a loser. You felt like you were, part of society that was detached, and you didn't get much support apart from maybe those that were around you with the same thing. But God, look at what's possible if you stay true to your passion and integrity, because we're brainwashed with this thing about, no, it's got to make money. No, people don't like it. Yeah, I mean, there's a certain amount, yes, you've got to look at it and all those things, but God, don't kill off the beauty that's going to endure all the fashions. So it's real tough, but, so hopefully when we do these things, and by talking to people like you, Matt, somewhere along the line, there will be people that are going, maybe it is worth it. And I always say, if you can look after your health and your happiness, and you've got that in control, you go for your passion and you follow your dreams, because your health and happiness is paramount. And if you've got the energy to follow your dreams, it can develop into something beautiful and enduring and joyous for not only yourself but others, and most importantly.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Great advice. Great words. Vince, thank you so much for joining me today on the Guitar Speak podcast. And I will see you on January 3rd, and hope everyone else does too.
Thanks, mate. You have a good Christmas and New Year season, and hopefully we'll meet you in the green room for a beer.
Yeah, sounds great, man. Sounds awesome.
All right, mate.
Lovely to meet you, Vince. Lovely to meet you. And
lovely to meet you too, Matt. Thank you very much for the promotion too.
No worries. No, it's my pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, mate.
Bye-bye.
See ya. All right, there you go, my conversation with Vince Contarino of Led Zeppelin Masters. Man, if that's the phone conversation, what's he going to be like on stage with the band and an orchestra? It's going to be pretty cool, I'm sure. Stay tuned for a print review coming up soon through the Guitar Speak podcast. All right, that's about it for me. My name's Matt Wakeling. You've been listening to the Guitar Speak podcast. Happy New Year, and I'll catch you all in 2019. Bye now.